Some people have a normal job, Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week, health benefits, bonuses each year, retirement funds, and all that good stuff. Well, not me. I don't have a normal job. It's not easy doing what I do, but it pays the bills since I can't get a regular job due to my criminal record. What do? Well, I'm a janitor that works for the dark web, and I clean up murder rooms once the buyers are done torturing and killing the victims they paid for. I've been doing it for the past 3 years. Every time someone needs help cleaning up the bloody mess they made, I go in and clean up the bloody remains. I make sure there is not a single drop of blood in the room and dispose of the leftover body parts any way I could. No evidence remaining, no questions asked. In fact, I can never ask any questions. These people simply can't be fucked with. I just get paid to do my job and go home like it's nothing. It's a sick job, but the pay is great. However, all that would change one night when I started to finally question my morality. It was one night when they called me to do a job. It's always at the same location, which is 40 miles from where I live in a rundown warehouse. I was called to clean up a room, which really was no problem at all, but I noticed, or barely caught on to something I never thought twice about. As I was cleaning the room that was covered in blood, I saw a small picture on the floor. I picked it up and it was a picture of a little girl, probably around 14 years old. This made me think right away that this was probably the victim whose blood I was cleaning up. It gave me an uneasy feeling inside, and for the first time I was disturbed. These people, they were using kids as their victims? But again, this was a job where no questions are asked. I put the picture in my pocket and continued cleaning. Once I was done, I packed up my things and quickly got out of the warehouse. I went inside my car and instantly got a call. It was them. They always call with a private number. I answered and they asked me if I was done cleaning up. I told them yes and that I just got into my car. They then told me that they left the money inside my glove compartment while I was inside cleaning, and they'll probably have another job for me in the next 2 days, since they have a customer who's already waiting. I knew I shouldn't have done this, but I decided to ask how old she was, referring to the victim. They hung up the call. I'm sure they were pissed with me just asking. I didn't know if I could continue doing these types of jobs anymore, but I didn't know how else I would get out of this without some possible threat to my life. I got the picture of the little girl and put it on the passenger side. I went home that night contemplating just about everything. It was the next day around 9 p.m. when I got a private call. I knew it was them and I was tempted not to answer, but I did so anyway. They gave me the same location and told me to be there around 4 a.m.
This time, no questions asked. Juan Miguel Santos of 3905 North, 16th Street.
The call hung up. This was a clear threat. I just needed to do my job and get out of there. I would need to leave town the next morning and disappear after this. I arrived at the location and saw there was an old Grand Marquis parked outside. Usually there shouldn't be any cars at the location, and I got worried that maybe these people are keeping a close eye on me. I stepped outside my car and walked slowly inside, feeling more and more paranoid with each step I took. The hallways were darker than before, and I saw light come from the room I was supposed to go in. I went inside and I couldn't believe what I had just seen. There was a girl in the middle of the room, tied up and gagged to a chair, alive. The job wasn't done yet, but then I saw the body of a man, right on the floor next to the girl, that looked to be around 16 years old. The girl began to scream at me, and I started freaking out even more. I ran to the man on the floor and checked his pulse. He was gone. This was the man that was going to kill this girl, since I saw a scalpel in his right hand. I walked myself outside into the hallway and immediately got a call. Private number again. It was them.
Is everything okay?
They knew something was up. They also had cameras in the hallways, but not in the rooms. They must have seen that I was nervous. Yes, everything's okay.
Finish the job and get out. We'll leave the money in your car.
They hung up, but I knew they had a feeling something was wrong. I went back inside the room, and the girl was yelling at me to help her with the gag in her mouth. I didn't know what to do. I needed to dispose off her body, but that meant I needed to kill her first. I looked around inside the man's bag and he had several weapons and tools inside, presumably to use to torture the girl. I pulled out a power drill and turned it on. The girl started to scream even more, telling me to stop. She was crying her eyes out. I aimed the power drill at her face and more tears started to run down her face. I put the power drill down. I couldn't do it. I took off her gag and asked what had happened. She told me that the man just fell on the floor and he probably had a heart attack. You know that I can't let you out of here. These are dangerous people, and there are cameras everywhere inside this building. We both looked around the room.
What about him?
Asked the girl. I looked at the man and saw he had a hoodie. I took it off and gave it to the girl. Put this on and cover yourself. Run away as far as you can.
I'm scared. What if they find me?
The girl said. I looked inside the man's pockets and found some car keys. They must have been for the car that was parked outside. Here, take these keys. I think the car that's parked outside belongs to him. Whatever you do, don't go to the police. They will find you and they will kill you. Just go away, as far from here as possible, okay? Before she left, I asked for her name and she said it was Crystal and that she was 17 years old. I was scared for her. I knew they might have been outside, waiting for me to finish. Before she stepped outside, I looked around the lot to see if it was clear for her to go. There were 2 cars outside and she quickly ran to the marquee. She thanked me and took off. I went back inside and quickly got my things. My phone started to ring. It was them, but I ignored it and quickly ran to my vehicle. As soon as I was ready to take off, a car approached me from behind. The car parked right behind me and 2 men in masks stepped out. Not only that, but they opened the back seat of the car and took out Crystal. They caught her. They knew everything we had done. I should have taken off. One of the men took out a gun and pointed it at me to step outside my vehicle. I stepped out and they wanted me to go inside the building. They took me and Crystal into the room with the client's dead body. I knew what they were going to do to us. Crystal couldn't stop whining. I guess this is what happens when you try and be a hero. I needed to do something before we would be dead meat. I saw that Crystal was right beside the lights. I looked at her and signaled for her to turn the lights off. The moment Crystal turned off the lights, I ran towards one of the masked men. Gunshots were fired as the men were yelling to turn on the lights. I grabbed the power drill that was on the floor and drilled it right into the man's chest. I stuck the drill all the way in and didn't stop till I heard the man gurgling, choking from his own blood. I turned on the lights and witnessed Crystal stabbing the other masked man repeatedly with a scalpel in the face. Half of his mask was gone from the punctures. I held Crystal and told her to stop. She was frightened, terrified. She hugged me tightly and began to cry. Both of us had made it out alive this time. We walked over to my car and took off, both of us covered in blood. The sun was coming out as it was already 6:30 in the morning. We both needed to change our identities, and I knew a guy who could do it that I met from jail and drove over to his place right away. Sometimes I do think that maybe it would have been better off if both of us were dead, since we would now have to live in fear for the rest of our lives. Luckily, I haven't heard or seen anything, but you never know. These people always manage to find you.
Let's hope that they never catch us.